So I am going to talk about risk and compliance and running an effective cybersecurity team. There's a few slides I put together that I'm going to speed through a few of them, and there's a couple of points, and one in particular that I want to leave with the room, and hopefully have people from here go away with us doing something about this. When I put this together, I kind of wanted to show you the things I'm going to cover. I want to talk about this is not a drill. It's not an IT issue. I'm a business person. I'm not particularly good at IT, and there's some of you in the room I've worked with in the past who will celebrate the fact that I tell you I'm not an IT person. I went to a presentation earlier in the week from some of my team who were talking about whether we had a choice on something, and we don't have a choice. It's happening, so we need to hurry up and get our asses into gear and do something about this. I'll talk about cyber risk. This is real. I'm going to talk about compliance. But how much compliance is too much? So I really enjoyed Richard's presentation, and I enjoyed a couple of the other earlier speakers who talked about how much you put in regard to compliance. And we know that compulsory notification is coming, so why are we not notifying already? But I would like to focus a little bit more on measuring effectiveness of our teams and their deliverables, and how you keep a really effective cybersecurity team. So the only thing I wanted to talk about that I didn't put on a slide is why me. So Alex is very kind in his description of me. I had a named role working for the National Cybersecurity Centre, so I can tell you that I worked there. My role was to raise cybersecurity awareness with critical national infrastructure organisations within New Zealand. I came into security 10 years ago because no one else wanted to do the job at Telecom, and I was managing the separation of the company before it became Spark. So I'm most definitely not a technical person. I really believe in that we as business people can do something about this, and we need the support of very smart IT people to help us to do that. I also strongly believe that a lot of the tools that are in place are ones that, as Richard said, we need to really understand what the outcome is of why we want a tool in the first place, because a fool with a tool is still a fool. So we really need to make sure that we understand what we're doing and why we do it. I've been the Director of Cybersecurity and Risk at IAG Insurance. I was Head of IT and Risk at New Zealand Post Kiwibank for a period of time, and I had the pleasure of working at KiwiRail and setting up their cybersecurity program. So, as I said, this is not I'm not looking for a job at the moment, but I wanted to just tell you that I kind of do understand a bit about this. It's not a drill. There's been many examples of cyber incidents over the last 10 years, but we'd all agree as cybersecurity professionals that that's increasing astronomically at the moment. Why have the incidents been kept quiet? We've run sessions, government-run sessions. The GCSB, or the National Cybersecurity Centre, has been running sessions with groups of industries across the country for years, and we all talk about cyber. Lots of people don't want to talk about it because they haven't had an incident, and so therefore it's not going to happen to them. But actually, you need to get real because it is, and it has happened. I was interested in Alex's stat because I've read in the past that it's 204 days before, on average, before we recognise in New Zealand that we've had a cyber incident. So 78% of statistics are made up at the time, or it could be 64. But it's a very important statistic to be aware of, that you have already had an incident and you just need to open up your eyes. But do I need to tell security people that? I think we should be talking to business people about that rather than talking to all of you. I've often heard people, we need to get insurance, but if you have a smash in your car and you didn't do all the things that you should have done to protect yourself, then will the insurance company pay out? So if you lose money through cyber attacks, will the insurance company pay out? I'll just leave that one for you to think about. And you can always employ a security person, because there's lots of us, not really, and we're just going to yell out help. And by the way, if I get Mark Knowles to come in and do security for me, then I'm completely safe. There'll be no cyber attacks. And that's why there's a statistic that says that CISOs only last for a couple of years, because CISOs are going to get the blame for the fact that there was an incident and we've lost money or we've lost customer data. So I wanted to really push the fact that this is a business issue. For organisations to survive in the future, we've moved to a digital strategy. That is the way that we are. It's the world. I'm old. When I joined the bank, we had no computers in the Bank of New South Wales. I remember the first computer arriving in 1982. So we could survive without computers then. We can't now. Customers couldn't leave the bank. You couldn't leave your bank easily in the past, no matter what country you were in, because actually you were pretty much locked in. My last bullet point there is customers no longer vote with their feet, they vote with their fingers. If they know that you could potentially lose their data, or they're not feeling secure with you, they won't stay. So the loss of customer data, their PII, the reputational risk to your organisation of an incident happening should be enough to wake up everybody within your organisation or the organisations that you work with. Generate was put up on the slides earlier. I'm very conscious of the green and yellow and red paddle, so I won't talk too much about it. This is publicly available information. I found it myself. I actually got asked by one of my friends, I've just got this letter from Generate, who manage my KiwiSaver fund, and they say they've lost my full name, my address, my telephone number, my inland revenue number. Should I be concerned? And I said, can I have a look at the letter that you got or the email that you got? It also told her that they'd lost her passport, copy of her driver's licence, and all the forms of identification that she took in before they decided that they would actually manage her fund. And she said to me, so am I okay? And I said, actually, you're really not. And she's not safe for, not now, but for 5 years. I said to her, you need to go and change your passport straight away, get a new driver's licence. You need to act immediately, and you should tell Generate they need to pay for this. So she wrote to them. They came out publicly a few days ago saying that they're going to pay for all of their customers to get new passports and driver's licences. But my concern is that my friend wanted to go to her bank and say, I just need to make sure that no one comes in and steals my money. I said, what about all the other banks in New Zealand or Australia or around the world that are going to use whoever has stolen this information, they're going to sell it to someone, to sell it to someone, to sell it to someone, and they'll become you and open up an account, and then all of a sudden you're going to have a debt in 2 or 3 years that they're going to come back to you about. So I did the right thing by scaring the death out of her. But it was really good because then I was talking to my team of cybersecurity professionals and I asked them, so what are you going to tell your friends when they ask you about this? Because is this a big risk? I think this is one of the biggest cyber issues that I've seen since I got into cyber. The biggest problem is that people don't understand. IT people might understand, security people should, but business people don't. So your business could close if people walk with their fingers. It used to take a long time to leave a company, it doesn't anymore. So where is your business cybersecurity awareness? Again, there were some really good speakers earlier talking about this. I'm hoping that we're talking more about promoting awareness and behavioural change. I'm a big fan of doing phishing simulations. I don't support the fact you should discipline someone that fails a phishing. We need to celebrate success. I actually, for one of my customers just recently, they care about the environment, so they don't give chocolate fish because they're wrapped in foil. But they wanted to reward their staff for being good at fishing. So I'm from Wellington and we have snapper cards which have a fish on. So I recommended to them that they give their fastest fisher people a snapper card that could pay for their travel to work for a week. That worked so well. Staff are talking about fishing, they're talking about cyber security. They're not talking about IT, they're talking about taking care of themselves and their families. And actually it's my kids and my parents that I'm worried about because I'm not going to click the links, but my dad might. So compliance, how much is too much compliance? When I worked in the National Cybersecurity Centre, if you work in government, you will know the New Zealand Information Security Manual, and you will love it. Please love it. I owned the New Zealand Information Security Manual, and I'm very proud to say that I was the one that actually started to get it out online, so the reason it's changing so often is my fault as well. But there are rules and guidelines to help to protect us. Audit's been around for a long time. When I was working in the bank in those days, they were little short men with green pens that came in and did audits. And they were always scary. So think about discussing cyber within your teams, thinking about discussing compliance and understanding what the rules and guidelines are is critical. But understand the risk, and when you're understanding risk, don't just write it down and then think it's okay now because we wrote that down. Or we put a control in place and that control will be good forever because that band-aid's going to get thin. So concentrate on the priorities that are critical to your organisation and consider compliance rules and guidelines and manage your risk. Just because someone says this is critical, it might be critical to your friend's company, but it's possibly not critical to yours. So concentrate on your own organisation. I'm charging all of you as cybersecurity professionals to go back to your leadership teams and your friends and tell them that stuff. Because the more that we talk about it, the safer we're going to be internationally, not just New Zealand. So running an effective cybersecurity team was the thing I really wanted to concentrate on and the piece I wanted to leave you with. So measuring effectiveness can be a challenge. I kind of think that I'm running effective teams because my customers haven't left or my staff are staying with me. I think that's a bit of a sign. But again, customers can leave quickly and staff are getting offered way more money all the time because this is a small pool. And I was talking to Tony about it before. I think it's really good that it's a small pool because I should get paid a lot more money. I wonder if my boss is anywhere near. But actually, salaries are increasing and the amount of money that customers want to pay for security is not increasing. They're saying that my budgets are tight and I can't afford it. So my focus is on ensuring to our customers, listening to our customers and ensuring that we share useful information. Not IT, not jargon. I go to way too many presentations where I hear people talking in 3- and 4-letter abbreviations. I get emails from my teams that talk about things in 3- and 4-letter abbreviations, and everyone just nods and moves forward and no one questions it. I run a cybersecurity advisory practice for Datacom. So my job is not to run the Cybersecurity Management Centre or the SOC. And the panel talked about retaining staff in the SOC, but we need to be cybersecurity professionals, and we certainly need people within our security operations centres, but we need a whole lot more people who have the gift of the gab. We need people that can actually talk about what this is and translate what a drive-by or a whaling attack or a phishing attack is into something that people, our friends and family and business executives will understand. Because when we talk jargon, they roll their eyes back and close up. Or they get scared about it and they think it's not going to happen to me, and it is going to happen to them. So focus on the business and who the threat actors are. Recognise to make an effective team that we need different members of the team with complementary skills. I'm really lucky. I have cybersecurity architects, I have governance and policy experts, I have a few technical geeks. I employed a graduate just recently because I wanted to try and grow the number of people within cyber. Not a graduate that's going to go across the whole of Datacom, but the graduate's role is to work in cyber, only to work for me. Other people have asked for him and I've told them to piss off because they can't have him. So we all need to be doing this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We have to be able to talk. So how do you keep an awesome team? I had an amazing team in the National Cyber Security Centre, and I'm really pleased to say that many of them are there still. I had a great team at Kiwibank and Post, a great team at IAG, and an amazing team at Datacom, some of which I've stolen. So I'm guilty of the fact of getting people to shift from seat to seat. But I think these are the things that anyone will tell you. It's not just a cybersecurity stuff. Do the basics right. Care for them. I know about my team. I know the ones that are having problems with their kids, their families. Know about your team. Communicate, give them feedback, direction. Where are we going? What's our pipeline looking like? What's coming next? Who are the customers we're focusing on? What are the problems that are happening internationally? Talk. Respect and value their strengths. Stop picking on their weaknesses. Don't talk about weaknesses. Just talk about the stuff they're really strong at. Because if you get a group of 10 people and you've got 10 people that have amazingly different strengths, wow, people are going to want to work with you. Give them the opportunity to be successful. So I let my team tell me where they want to work. Even if I want them to do something different, I try and give them the ability to tell me what they want to be working on. Training, training, training. My team's so busy at the moment that we don't have time to do development. So what I've done is I've just canned a whole lot of stuff that we are not urgently required to do, and I'm pushing my staff into training. But I'm not training them to do CISSP if that's not what they want to do. I'm not training them to be security operations centre experts. One of my guys is hopeless at writing, so I'm sending him on a writing course. He can talk brilliantly, but he can't write good documents. So he's on a writing course at the moment. Some of my team are not particularly good at using assertive behaviour, so I'm teaching them how to use assertive behaviour. Please, please, please concentrate on what makes your team happy, and that's how you're going to keep them. There's a shortage of cybersecurity people. So I've said we need more cyber smart people. You need all of those people. There's an increased demand for all of them. I just really want to go back to we are all shoulder tapping. So let's stop shoulder tapping and let's start growing our teams. Jack, my graduate, studied music at Auckland University. He decided there wasn't a future in music, and he moved to Wellington and studied criminology. He was working at the airport unpacking planes. He's now working for me, and he is exceptionally good. He's been working for me for 9 months. He has a very bad speech impediment, and it is of no concern to me whatsoever because he is absolutely brilliant and his customers love working with him. And as soon as Jack finishes his part of the graduate program, I've got a gap and I'm bringing somebody else on. And the two people I'm looking at, one is a woman that lives in Tauranga and another person is a psychology student who don't have any technical background, but they have a huge amount of passion to be out talking to you. So let's start working together to grow the people that are going to fill the empty seats here. It's fantastic having this number of people come to a conference and talk about cyber, but let's focus on actually growing our numbers. And when they come in, don't put them straight into the SOC or don't put them straight onto a call centre. Put them straight into actually sitting side by side with one of your really smart cybersecurity people. Or one of the things I got Jack to do was to start researching things. I've got the red panel. That's my last slide. See?
You're going for the music though, eh?
I wanted the music. So my message is, please work with me to encourage more people to come into this industry. Don't steal my staff unless they're ready to go, because if they are, I'm really happy to support them to come and work for you. I know I've run out of time, but is there any questions or anything that I can help you with? What do you think New Zealand's biggest problem is from a cybersecurity perspective at the moment? And I don't want them to tell me hacking or phishing. It'd be good if they said phishing, maybe, because that does make up 92% of attacks. But I'd rather them be talking about that we're just not talking about cyber, or that people are at risk because there's a human element of things going wrong. Any other questions? Can I give someone a little plug then? So Mel, who's sitting here, and she's going to be embarrassed that I'm saying this. When we were talking before, Mel set up a new company 18 months ago. And one of the things that she's done is she's recognised that actually she's not an expert with everything. So she's got a career coach and she's got some mentors and people supporting her to do a great job. So you're going to give me a bottle of wine and I want to give it to Mel, because what I would really like for all of us to recognise is that, look, I'm proud to say I'm an expert in cybersecurity. I am very good at this. But I don't know everything, and nor do you. So ask other people to work with us to help, and ask each other, because we all should be working together. Whether we're competitors or not, we should be supporting each other. So
Thank you very much, Mark.
thanks for that.
Amazing job.
Cheers, mate.